This is just something that I was just reminiscing about codes, frequencies, accretion levels, filling up capacitors. Therefore, you have a higher state of awareness. Now that you're aware of what you were once held captive to, you don't want to be held captive to what you were once held captive by, which is the machine code, which is a lower form of intelligence going in the other direction, which is a whole. And I began remembering, I mentioned this many times about putting duct tape. Because when it becomes, it's sort of like this. You know what a game player is? It wants to get you into the game. So it knows how to get people to play a game. Consciousness directed, which is a conscious trap, which is machine code, which is alien intelligence. So when I was a child, I was actually already aware of this before I jumped in here. And you can find out the criteria for that. I believe it is in energetic synthesis when she, I believe it was Lisa Renee, covered the subject of, well, I've covered this before about jumping into somebody else's computer, jumping into a hole, right? And if you will, doing a full data scan, scanning the mainframe, the planetary consciousness train of why they're held captive to a system that is a fallen design, right? It's the vacuum tube sucking, right? The great sucking sound, like David Stockman, President Reagan's budget, the budget. And so when I was a small child, I realized that I'm being insulted everywhere that I go because of the codes. And the codes are very much relevant. Because when you go to look at the Federal Register, if you've ever looked at the U.S. Federal Register, when they pass a bill, which is be ill, it's coded. That's all machine code. Okay, so they're going to charge you, okay, if you fail to follow the codes, which is to follow the rules, which are rule-based functions, which are machine codes. So if you're not following the machine code, it realizes you're not following the machine code. It means you cannot be programmed to run machine code, which means you're not following alien intelligence machinery because those are the wrong codes. Those aren't the Eka codes. Those aren't the first codes, the first encryption code of first creation, which is eternal absolute love that's on fire to learn. So the one is learning at a higher rate of speed than alien intelligence because it's going in the wrong direction. So it's not learning through the one to experience being one equal unto all the others. See? So it's all codes, which is frequency. So that's what happens. You end up running the other codes. So the people, like, and take an average city. When I grew up in California, although I was born in New Jersey. So my parents, I mentioned before, were the vehicle through which I was supposed to be exactly where I was supposed to be at the time that I was supposed to be there in order to do what it is that I did while I was there. Right? And so growing up as a child, going into military academy when I was 5, and then I was put into elementary school, everything that I experienced was the speed at which I was learning. Dolores Cannon talked about how God learns, which is gender neutral. A massive whirlpool plasma of pure absolute love that's on fire. That's what heals us. Yep. And so the faster you're learning, the faster you're restoring yourself, which means your capacitor to experience more of what we are, which is what love is, to experience being equal unto all creation. So the one is learning at a higher rate of speed. So when you're hanging out with the one you're with, which is knowing one from the other, that means you know the first intelligent field and you know what's foreign. That's why they passed, I think it's called the Foreign Power Registration Act. If you were, if you will, a bloodline or codes that represent seeded races, and you wanted to, say, go to work for the codes that represent the U.S. code, then you had to register as a foreign power in order to run the codes that are represented by the codes, which is the machine code that people were running in America. So when I'm a little child, I realized I'm surrounded by robots. They're all following the rules. They're all following the codes. right? They're going in the wrong direction. They're falling. We used to have a little saying when I was a little child. Would you follow somebody off a cliff? No. You're supposed to know better than that, right? That means you know the future if you follow that code, which means in a hole to implode. Yeah, so you got to know something about black holes when you're in a black hole. So you're surrounded by people that are going in the wrong direction. They're in a hole. Man, you got to be spinning in the right direction to get out of that hole. To increase your accretion levels, which is the capacitor on a motherboard, burn it off, transmute it. Right? And so that means you got to know something about how to do memory dumps. Just dump it in the hole. Just dump it in the hole. Just dump it in the hole. It's all going to implode anyway. Just get rid of it. Right? Self-destructive technologies. It's represented by the consciousness that is running those technologies, which represent what? Those timelines, which is dead light energy. We are not dead light energy. Living spirits are sacred temples because they're experiencing what love is, which is what light is. It goes on forever. So when you're a massive whirlpool and two becomes one, and the one becomes the all creation. So I'm not a hierarchy. Right? I'm equal unto all of you that I'm gifting pure, absolute, eternal love to. So I'm experiencing the one we're with. Right? And that allows us to be able to perform the work that we do, to ignite, light fires, lighting fires all over the universe. I know, that's how simple it is. You know how to light a fire? Of course. You know how to keep it burning? Of course. You can't ever put that flame out. Right? And you know, like putting the fire out. And that's the relationship between fire and water. Fire and ice. Maintaining cool colors. Maintaining a state of eternal peace. With the first metabolic rate of speed. The first spin. The first spinner. The first spinner. The first top. The first top spin. Spin that top, baby. That's right. Spinning that top, right? Where you zero out your clocks. Remember that you got the big hand, the little short hand, and the second hand. You got two clocks on the wall. The two, when the two become one, you see the long hand, the big hand. And the other one's going. They're equal in speed. They zero themselves out. The clocks don't exist, so time doesn't exist, and now all you're experiencing what love is, it goes on forever. The two become the one becomes the all. Now we're equal unto all the others. All the others. That we're gifting pure, eternal, absolute love to. Now that's how simple it is. Yeah? So now you know why we're here. Is to change course. Course corrections. Charts. Water charts. Conversion tables. Matrix tables. Yeah, that's called self-correcting. And what we call recovery time. How long it takes to recover. What it is that we've lost, which are fragments, parts of ourselves that got lost in space. Hey, I'm going to recover that. Remember Total Recall? Did you ever see the movie called Total Recall? They used old Arnold in a lot of those movies that were actually educational videos. You know, just like Terminator, Rise of the Machines, Avatar, Cyber Wars, Headhunter, Cyber Command. Oh, what is it? The Hobbs and Shaw was a very revealing movie. Obviously, The Matrix, Minority Report. Hey, go out and tweak that cyborg, do a scan, and find out what's wrong with. Just like when you go to AutoZone and you plug it in, that's a scanner, right? Scanning your codes. No different than on your automobile. You know, a wiring harness, how you're wired up, which are your circuits. Knowing how to rebuild your own circuits, right? Knowing how to repair yourself. That's what it is knowing how to repair yourself. Your true self. Your solar arcing, solar power. The solar arcing power. Your powerhouse. Your power plant. The spirit in the power plant, our light spirit body, is on fire to create. Worlds born out of fire, which is worlds born out of pure, eternal, absolute love, which is eternal breathing energy. Breathing eternal energy. Yep. That means we don't need to consume any energy. We're running with the first power plant, right? Fused with the first cosmic level spirit sun, the sacred Yana sun. Yana, Aya. Aya. Muava. Unsa. Kristala. Jadunaya. Kala. Zala. Have a beautiful day. Muava.